Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Monday, April 27, 2026. Stand up for your country. Well, what did I do this weekend? If you travel to BillO'Reilly.com, you know. And that is the place where any breaking news is. So if you want to waste your time, and we'll prove it to you tonight, if you want to waste your time watching cable news and the others, it's up to you, okay? But you're not going to get the story. I was right in the middle of this thing on Saturday night, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So let me set the stage for you. 2,000 people in the ballroom at the Washington Hilton. That's where Ronald Reagan almost lost his life. I wrote a book, Killing Reagan. Some of you might have read it. It's about my fifth correspondence dinner. The first one I took Donald Trump. And that's where all of this stuff between Obama and Trump, where it happened. Okay? And so over the years, I know the drill. And I was never uneasy in that ballroom. And this year, I would not have gone, but my son said, please take me, because he's a political science major. Obviously, he wants to see what's going on. So we went and sat at the News Nation table. And for some reason, I was in the back of the ballroom. I think I was coming back from the men's room. And all of a sudden, I hear 4 shots, loud. So I'm in the back of the ballroom. There's a door that was open, and then there's an escalator that takes you up to the main floor of the hotel. So the ballroom's packed, as I said, 2,000 in there. So I'm standing there. I hear boom, 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 4. Everybody hits the ground. Except me and President Trump. We're the only guys. Now, my son is under the table. I just leaned under. I go, how is it under there? He goes, you're going to get shot in the head, Dad. And I said, look, if they haven't got me after 50 years, they're not going to get me. And then my son had the line of the evening, goes, I didn't know you were taking me to basic training. Because everybody knew that this was an assassination attempt, because the Secret Service, I would say 20, 30 seconds after the shots, stormed through the door where I was, ran down the aisle, and covered the president. So everybody knew that there were bad things afoot, as Sherlock Holmes once said. Now, as a normal human being, I should have hit the turf, but I had to see what was going on. It was my job. I have to see. So I'm there and I'm watching everything that's unfolding. And luckily for me, a marshal, a U.S. marshal, was at the door with a earpiece on, and he was a fan of mine, which always helps. So right after the Secret Service went in, I said to him, you know what's going on? And he briefed me. He said, there's a fracas upstairs. There were shots fired. What we know now, which I didn't know then, was that the shooter fired twice from a pistol, and Secret Service fired 2 or 3 shots. Very unusual, because if you shoot at a federal officer, which this guy did in the lobby of the hotel, you're usually dead within 5 seconds. So it was unusual. So I assume that because there was so many people, that the Secret Service is taking, measure. So they brought him to the ground quickly. You saw the picture of him laying on the ground, and then they had to decide what was going to happen next. President Trump didn't really want to leave because he doesn't like to show weakness of any kind. He doesn't want to be intimidated. This is the 3rd assassination on the man attempt. But they had to leave. And I understood, everybody really understood that There was so much chaos swirling around. Now, after that, I then swung into my job, which is to get information. And we quickly established that this guy had taken a train from Chicago to D.C., checked into the hotel. He had a hotel room. There are 3,000, people who can be lodged in the Washington Hilton. 3,000. And then you had 2,000 visitors. That's 5,000 people, far too many. Far too many people. And, but you wouldn't know it coming in because there were stations everywhere. Here's the key point. The shooter could never have gotten even close to the president because he had to come down an escalator, which was manned, then go through a door where I was and the marshals, and then run down a long corridor, if you want to make it that way, but picture it in your mind, long space before he could get into any kind of shooting range. So that was never a problem. What was a problem was that people were close to the shooter. They were diving all over the place, as you said, normal people would do. The people close to the president, the dais, they didn't hear the shots. And I tell you, they were loud. I mean, I knew right away because I've heard gunfire in my life. And my son is an avid gun enthusiast. I mean, he hunts all the time. He knew what it was. We knew. And they were loud, as I said. But the people in the other half of the room had no idea what was taking place. When they saw all the federal protection run down, then they knew something was wrong. Okay. Now, this guy, Cole Allen, 31 years old, as I wrote on BillO'Reilly.com, it's just unbelievable. This guy will never, ever see freedom again, ever. In addition to destroying his own life, and he had no shot at this, pardon the pun, none. Okay? He destroys the life of his family. His family's got to deal with this their whole lives. So this guy's a loon, and then he writes up this crazy thing, a manifesto of why he's doing it, and it just makes no sense at all. The guy in the bushes in Palm Beach was a loon. The guy on the rooftop who got killed in Butler, Pennsylvania was a loon. They're all in the same category. They just don't have control over themselves. That's it. And throughout our history, these have been the profile of all the assassins, the presidential assassins, all of them, from John Wilkes Booth onward. They're just crazy, insane people. And that's what he is. But he'll never, ever get out. So he's been charged with trying to assassinate the president and other charges. But that's the big one. And Jeanine Pirro, who we have on our long form, she is part of the prosecution, but the Attorney General's Todd Blanche taking this over. Okay, then we have reaction. This is another fascinating story. So I'm there, and I'm giving information to News Nation through Kelly Myers, who's a very, very good correspondent. She's the top News Nation Washington correspondent. And I'm giving her what I have because I didn't want to hotshot it. Okay, let her. That's her beat. Let her do it. At the same time, CNN is misreporting what happened. Roll the tape.
All right, guys. I just want you to know this is not verified. We're just listening to what's happening right now. But we have security around us, and it's Secret Service because there's a lot of members of the administration here. The Secretary of Education is seated right next to me, and her security just said, confirmed that there was a shooter in the lobby. It's not clear where. Obviously, it's a very big hotel. In the lobby of the Hilton, they said he is confirmed dead. We don't know anything more than that.
But he wasn't dead. Okay? Now, I'm trying to be fair to Ms. Collins. She's a rookie. All right? She doesn't have the basics down. Just doesn't. Looks good on TV, can conduct an interview, This isn't what she's doing. You don't report a story like that. You don't, because that's what they call hearsay. She's got no valid source for that story other than some Secretary of Education. How would he know? Now, if you want to mention it, you can say there's a rumor. You could say that. But you don't say they said he is confirmed dead. Maybe they said it, but so what? It's wrong. It's wrong. Are we understanding that? Then, President Trump, not wanting to show any weakness, because he never does, he goes on 60 Minutes. Roll it.
You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Yeah, O'Donnell had no cause to read the ramblings of a loon. None. Yet she tried to humiliate the President of the United States, who was just attacked. And it was edited. There isn't one person in CBS who knows that. That's called gutter snipe reporting. That's what the National Enquirer does. Oh, look who said this about you. It's not true. Then why are you throwing it out there? You can't do that if you're a responsible journalist. You have to verify it. So the president was absolutely 100% correct in saying to Miss O'Donnell, who I know, okay, you should be ashamed of yourself of reading that. And she should be, but she's not. I'm just doing my job. No, you're not. Talk about malpractice. My God.